Welcome, everybody. I'm Cindy Myers, and my website is yourenergyhealer.com. My website, my computer's running a little slow, so just hang in there while it gets itself running here. Here we go. So, we're going to talk about animals and emotions, but we're going to also talk about introducing a new pet into the household and helping them with all their emotions in adjusting to a new life, a new home, and new people, and also everything is brand new to them. So it can be very overwhelming when we bring in a new animal. And it can be, if you have other pets, then it can be challenging to them as well as they adjust to the new little creature in your life. Hit play here. So, but before we get going, if you are having a medical emergency, please call your veterinarian right away. However, if you can't get in right away or there's a delay in getting them in, what I can do in emergency situation is provide energy support for your pet, which can help uh, ease some of their discomfort and and anxiety, as well as get their energy glowing so that their natural healing abilities can support them in getting well. And I'm shifting my business model slightly in working with aggressive animals. And I'm actually not going to work with aggressive animals anymore because it just is really challenging. It isn't my forte. And so I think it's more ethical for me to refer you elsewhere if you have an aggressive and highly reactive animal. And we're going to talk a little bit about that feature and shortly when we talk about emotions in animals and the fight or flight response system and why that's so. It's just that the way I work isn't as effective in helping them, so you're better off spending your funds on hiring somebody that is in is present with you and helping you to modify that behavior. So, I do have an alpaca farm. I'll tell you that much about myself for the moment, and that pertains to bringing in a new animal because I have to think about how my alpacas will work with the animal, or especially the animal, how they will be around the alpacas, so that especially a dog or a cat, they need to be able to interact and be peaceful around the alpacas and not pester them. So, so one thing I'm doing, because I got a new puppy a month ago. It was a month ago Sunday, as a matter of fact, and and so she's 4 months old now. Yeah, 4 months old,
Is
and
this her?
um,
This
no,
picture?
this is actually Yogi when he was a puppy.
Okay.
But so I have a picture coming up of Spud. But
Oh,
this is Yogi, and he's now the senior in the household. But when he was a puppy, he was actually raised on an alpaca. He was born and raised on an alpaca farm. So he was already comfortable around alpacas and understood how to be around them from get-go, because that's how he was trained, which is why I got him from an alpaca farm. That experience is so important in bringing them in, so they have that imprinting uh, and training from day one. Really, the smell of the alpacas, because they're actually birthed right in a stall next to the alpacas, so they have the smell, the sounds, everything coming in from day one. So they're very comfortable and understanding alpacas, and that's why I specifically got him from an alpaca farm that also breeds the Great Pyrenees. So anyway, so that was important in determining that I had a specific need and goal for him. But bringing in a new puppy is I brought in a rescue dog who has had a background and a rough background, and so she's got a little more issues coming in, fear state, uh, because of her. And part of it is from her background, and some of it might just be her personality as well. Although I think a lot of it is that she just was not exposed to certain things. She was discovered in the dumpster with her litter mates, and then went from one shelter to another one, and her world was a pen, or worse. So she just never got to see a lot of the world. She had never really been outside, other than those early days of her life, but she had never seen grass and stuff. So everything is big and overwhelming and new. And so what I like to do with her is to show her something new every day. And it can be very simple, and I try to keep it actually kind of simple, but whether it's the vacuum cleaner or just something new that I introduce every day, I want to get her exposed to as much as I can while she's young, so that she can assimilate it and get used to it. And there's some things that are way more scary for her than other things. And so learning and having knowledge about the fight or flight response system is really important. But just to step back a bit, we have a little understanding too. There's a difference into how humans generally see things versus our pets. Our dogs and cats see things very uniquely. They don't generalize like we do. We kind of walk in a room and we kind of say, oh yeah, it's a living room and there's furniture in it. Whereas our dogs could walk into a living room and they see every single little detail in that room. I kind of equate it more autistic like. Now there's spectrums just for in our pets and what they see as well. So for example, my Australian shepherds are extreme in seeing every little detail. And that's part of their makeup and their work. They need to be able to discern and be very discriminating in being a shepherding kind of a dog and herding. So, so they see every single detail. I used to chuckle because if when I vacuumed, if I didn't put something back in the right place, my dog would go straight to that spot and say, "That's not where it was earlier," because he could tell as soon as he came in the room that something was different. And it could literally be just a few inches away from where it was before. It wasn't like I moved it to another part of the house or anything. It was just, you know, I didn't put it 6 inches back. So that would be the first thing he would go and check out if something moved. So they don't generalize. And the same thing for training for them is very different. So when I train a lot of my dogs, if I train them to, like, for example, heel or walk nicely on the leash on my left side, I have to start over from scratch if I want to teach them to do it on my right side. And I do like to teach them how to walk nicely on both sides. Because if I'm on a road or something and just want to switch sides for whatever reason, I want them to be able to know how to walk lightly on either side. So I'm aware of that, and I learned that from my dogs. Whereas to me, it's the same thing. What's the difference? If I teach you on the left, it should be the same on the right. No, it's totally different. So now knowing that, I know how to better uh, help them in teaching them different things. So that's why something new every day can be very beneficial, even in a room. So when I first introduced my little girl Spud into the home life, the farm life, I didn't let her have full range of the whole farm all at once. That was too overwhelming. So she just had a little section of the yard that she hung out in, and then a little section of the house that she could go in and that I could monitor. And then she slowly, we started expanding out on what she could participate and experience and explore. So just be aware and understand that. And so why is that? So let's talk about the fight or flight. And here's Spud. This is the new little one, and her ears remind me of Yoda. They do. They flop over. They're very funny ears. Anyway, uh, again, she's got some fear. And remember when we talked about the fight or flight response system, you have freeze, don't move. And that actually is what she does. She freezes. She doesn't want to move. So leash walking is a challenge for us right now because she doesn't want to go anywhere. That leash is new. She's not comfortable with it. She doesn't know, and she's only comfortable in her yard. If I try and take her out, she does not want to move. She just stands still. So she freezes. That's her response to her fear is freeze. There's some, her backup is to run back, is to pull away, is to back away. So run. That is her secondary response, but her initial response is to freeze. For some, it is to run away, run, 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 freeze, and then be aggressive. There are some that are highly reactive and they'll strike out and be bitey or, bare teeth, bark, be more aggressive, challenge and lunge at you. So again, that one is the hardest because in freeze, what I need to do is interrupt the fight, that fear response system. I want to interrupt it when I'm working with him to get him out of it, because if she's frozen, she's not going to move. So I need to help her break free of it and kind of look around and get into her thinking brain. When they're in the aggressive stage, they're already reacting and it's hard to interrupt it. That's why I am choosing to back out of helping folks with or working with people and their aggressive dogs or aggressive animals, because it's really hard to coach somebody be over the phone and how to interrupt it. If you knew how to do it, you do it. And so it's hard for me to communicate some of the steps that need to be done. And you really need to modify the behavior. It's not enough just to remove the trapped emotions that have created the fear. I can help do that piece, but I found that most people really, really, really need help. And it's so it's not effective. I found I'm just not overly effective for folks in helping them deal with aggressive dogs. So it's better for me to refer you to somebody that hopefully can help you deal with the aggressive dogs than me trying to help less effectively. It's just not a good investment for you in my expertise. That isn't my expertise in any way, shape, or form. So with that, but that is why. It's because it's too hard for me to interrupt. And because the fight or flight response system is fast, if I clear trapped emotions in the morning, but they're triggered in the afternoon, they're gonna react. It's that fast. They can't get to their thinking brain and go, oh yes, I remembered I got cleared, so I don't have to do that anymore. And they don't know have the skills yet to tell me what else to do. So they just go back to what their default is and they react. Or even if it helps them for a couple of days, that those emotions build up. And if they haven't been able to learn the new way successfully and consecutively, they're gonna drift back to their old response system. So they tend to go back. So even if you get a couple of days of having them be better at something, they can go back to being reactive and it can get dangerous. And you never know when that can happen. So it's really better if you get somebody, a certified trainer that specializes in reactive animals that can help you deal with it than just clear trapped emotions. So that's the reason why. And it's hard for me to express that to folks because they're just so desperate wanting help. And I understand that. But I'd rather you get real help than just giving you a band-aid. And that's what it is. It turns out that what I do is more of a band-aid, and that isn't safe. So so understand that when we're talking about fear, it's a reactionary system. It goes on really fast and immediately. And so we need to work with them. And so when I do the one new thing at a time, it's building her confidence. It's building confidence so that when she gets introduced to some new things, it may not be so scary. The more new things, and as she builds more and more confidence in new and more different situations and different experiences of all sorts of things, from playing in a little kiddie swimming pool to taking a car ride or going out out and meeting new people. And not all people are the same. Okay. Oh, she met lots of women the other day. Oh, but she met a man and she crouched down, froze, and didn't move because she was afraid of a man because she hadn't met very many men yet. So that gave me information that was really important in saying, oh, okay, just because she's meeting a lot of people, if they're mostly women that kind of look and sound like me with our higher voices or just a different energy, that doesn't mean she's not saying that that's the same when she meets a guy. She's met a number of children. She loves children because they come and play. All right, so now she's comfortable with children, but she's not comfortable with men. So that says I need to get her around men. So that can now get a part of her process and being comfortable and confident around all types of people, not just women and children. So as you do these new things, you find out what more they're not comfortable with, and then you can work with them. And some things are you kind of catch you by surprise on what all of a sudden they're not comfortable with, and go, oh, I wouldn't think you're uncomfortable with that. And one of the thing was just a little toy that she got scared of, and I went, oh, and she didn't because it had a different sound. It wasn't the normal squeaky. It was a one of those honking toys instead of a squeaky one, and that scared her. But I just left it. I left it out and gave her time to uh, get brave and explore it. And now she beeps it once in a while. It's not her favorite, but she'll actually go over and touch it. She's not afraid of it. So give her time. So the other thing that I do, even if I don't show them something new, if they're nervous about something, I will get them, introduce it to them, get a few treats, then back off. And the next day, my new thing may be still the same thing that they did the other day that made them nervous. I want to build confidence in that. So we'll work on things that a little at a time to get her confidence. So the vacuum's still out behind me. It's blurred, but there's a vacuum cleaner back there. She was very nervous of that at first. So you want to, I would let her just without it on. It's just, I move it from one place to the other in the house. And she kind of got used to it. She even used it as a pillow the other day and was napping next to it. So that's good. And now I've been using it. And so she's hearing the noises, getting treats. She's not running away. So yay, success. But it takes time. So those new things were just different steps in getting her comfortable with the vacuum. So break it down into smaller bites when it's a bigger fear. And that'll be the same thing in introducing her to gentlemen. So here's some other tips that you can do with your pets. I do a ton of T-touches on Spud and the others, little circles. Those are lovely. It's a lovely modality for folks, and it's called T-touch. And again, it's just it introduces the calming chemicals versus the fear chemicals. So when that was that first 24 hours of Spud living here, she got a lot of T-touches. Those calming chemicals got into her body. Of course, I got to use my own skills of releasing anxiety, releasing fear, releasing all sorts of emotions of her overwhelm. Those were very typical emotions for her that I needed to release so that she could adjust quickly. And I mentioned that there's other dogs in the household, so I had to help them too in getting them comfortable with her. The one, they bonded very quickly. The other one took longer. So I had to work with him and helping him adjust to having this little thing around that kind of irritated him because she thought his tail was a tug of war toy. So yes, we had to help him with that and getting him comfortable with her as well. So do that's something you can do besides breathing is learning a little bit of the T-touch. You can find that on YouTube. So again, I'm not a practitioner of it, but it's a wonderful modality that's easy to learn how to do, and it can really help get those calming chemicals into your pet, both new ones and old. And also the old ones can get a little bent out of shape because the new one gets all the attention. So the T-touches can help give them some attention and some love and appreciation for being, they're still an important part of the family. And I like to breathe in peace and calm when I'm doing all of those things for them. Um, and then if you really need some other tools, you look for pet safe essential oils. Or another tool you can have on your kit, your toolkit of things you can do for them. And then for new animals is I leave her for short periods of time. whether it's in her pen or a safe space in my yard. I started doing that within a couple days. I started even just to run into my little town, which is like 3 minutes away, you know, just to get gas or run to the bank and come back. So she got used to me coming and going very quickly and extended periods of time. Um, and then I also got them into a new feeding routine. So they had to get into comfortable in what that ritual and routine is so that they feel comfortable and confident that their meals would be enjoyable. And it's not necessarily at the same time of day, but how I feed them and who gets their bowls first, everything is kind of been a ritual for them. That seems to help my guys. You might find a different way that works best for you, but I like that kind of, especially around food, that they have something known. So if you need some help with your pets, I recommend my the quick cleanse package, especially if you worked with me before. It's actually 3 15-minute phone consults that you get in this package, and you can uh, we can get a lot done in that 15-minute time, especially if I've worked with you before. The animals don't have a very long attention span. So clearing the trapped emotions, rebalancing their energy, and a little bit of communication with them and them with me that I can translate for you of what's going on for them. And we can get that done in 15 minutes, no problem. And just keeping their energy flowing really well, especially if they're not feeling well. You want to keep that energy flowing, break up any of the trapped energy that's causing some of the issues. So some stuff that's coming up here is I have 2 healing circles in the next week. One Saturday, oh, and I meant to put that one as Wednesday. Sorry, and next Wednesday there'll be a healing circle as well. But August 3rd is an intro to animal communication. So a week from tomorrow, so a week from Thursday, is another class that I've been teaching along with Jen Weigel. She's hosting it for me. It's on my website, and I can send you the link in the follow up with the recording. So I'll send out that link if anybody's interested. We've had 100% success so far, so knock on wood. We'll continue that trend. It's a lot of. It's not just fun. It really helps people build confidence in your intuition. And so there's so much value in doing that. You get so much validation, and it's just no way it can be a coincidence of what you're experiencing and what you pick up from these animals. And so it really builds confidence. And then you're with other folks that are about the same level as you are, so you can learn from each other as well and see, and you get more validation watching them get it because they're doing exactly what you're doing. And then, of course, you get to work with really cute, sweet, wonderful animals. And you do get to send pictures of your own pets for this class. You don't get to read your own animal, but your pet does get to participate in it. So if you're interested in that, that's next August 3rd, and it's from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific time. So with that, if you have any questions, we can do that. I don't know if Heidi came on. Oh, good. Heidi is on. I have yours. Let me get a picture of your beautiful dog, Heidi. If you can unmute yourself, Heidi.
There we go. I think I figured it out. Are
You
there?
did. Very good. Well done. Here is your pup. The coloring on this dog is gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous. So who is this beauty?
This is I have more than one dog, but this is the one that is my shadow.
Okay. And the name?
Her name is Grace.
Grace. Good. So is there something specific going on with Grace?
No, I just have never.
I just want to experience things.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
nothing specific that I know of. Nothing I'm, I guess too worried about, but just yeah, interested in seeing how that works.
She reminds me of a gray Surrey alpaca, and that is the rarest of the rare of alpacas.
Oh
So
yeah.
it's just really drawn to your dog because of that. I always wanted a silver Surrey and I never birthed one. So
Yeah, I love her color. She's a blue merle. And I have her sister as well, and they are almost identical.
ah,
Almost. Very
almost.
much alike. But Grace, one of her eyes is half blue and half brown.
Oh, I
But
can't see the other eye.
it's not the eye in this one, but I sent you another photo and you can see it in that one, I think, a little
Oh,
bit.
okay. Okay.
But this was the better photo. The other one was a screenshot of my phone.
Okay. So you have sisters then.
Yes. Hmm.
Okay. So let me tap into Grace and see what she has. And about how old is Grace?
She just had her birthday on Friday and she's 6.
6. Okay. So let's see what Grace has to say. And let me just tap in. And what I first like to do is just kind of scan their system. And I'm an empath, so I feel things in my body. I feel the blockages. I may feel trapped emotions. So, and I might actually feel physical things going on as well. And so I'm just kind of scanning. That's interesting. First thing I felt was in my thumb, my left thumb. So that would be in her front paw, left paw. I don't know if you notice anything.
Oh, she's coming over here now. Oh, hi. She's now sitting on me.
Okay, good.
You know what's going on? Mhm.
So it just might be a trapped emotion in her paw. Maybe the early stages of something, but let's clear it.
Okay.
It's a little frustration, so I'm gonna clear that. Um, so I'm also feeling something kind of mid back reach. And it's coming down now into my right hip a little bit. Let's clear that. Nothing strong, but I'm feeling something.
Okay.
Mm, peeved. So releasing peeved. Oh, yeah. So that would make sense because where I'm feeling it in the back, about where the kidneys are. So little, little stuck energy in the kidney region. She can't tell me what is this. Is this recent? No, not really recent. So not immediate. Is it a trend? Yes. Okay. So so peeve with sister sometimes, but not a big deal. So does sister hog something?
Yeah, she's a resource guarder when it comes to food.
Oh, okay. So that kind of fits then. Okay. So that kind of ticks her off once in a while. Okay. So we'll clear that a little bit. So again, good to have your system in place to protect and maybe work with that a little bit. But um, and Grace doesn't is she protective of her food too?
No, not really.
No, okay,
She's quite generous. They're very different personalities.
okay. But does tick her off occasionally when your other one gets too bossy.
Yeah, every now and then if they get close to food at the same time, then there's an issue. So I we always feed them separately in different areas, I mean.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
good girl. He's eating in front of you. That's not very nice.
lack of control. Interesting. What's that about? So is she, since she's kind of the more compliant one, I want to say.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Uh,
Yeah, she's submissive.
yeah, so by being more submissive, does she kind of how do I say it? How do you want me to say it? The squeaky wheel is getting the grease, in other words.
Well, I don't know. I mean, she gets a lot of attention because she's my shadow. She's
Okay.
like a total mom youth girl. But yeah, I mean, if yeah, her sisters are much more confident than her and more outgoing in some ways sometimes, more I don't know, more in control of themselves, whereas she's
Oh,
quite
okay. So maybe that's the lack of control.
she's quite submissive. Like she'll like crouch down or roll over if she gets nervous about another dog or just something new, and whereas her sister would never back down.
Okay. So her handling of fear is the freeze state.
Yeah, pretty much. Or fawn, freeze or fawn. Yep.
Yep, yep. So just knowing that about her, that's important. And like you're doing, building a little confidence here and there, um, where where it might be hard for her to build that confidence is with the others if they're kind of take over and get more boisterous, because
Yeah.
she just needs more time to sort things through and build that confidence to whatever, and they're often doing whatever. So
Mhm.
I think that's where she kind of feels left out, is if they have the confidence and off they go, and she's going, I don't know if I want to. So that's okay. That's just who she is. Any other questions about her?
Um,
So what happens in with some of these trapped emotions, and what can happen, and where I released their emotions are a real thing. It's a real chemical that the body creates and puts into the body. And if they can't process out those chemicals, they can get stuck in the body. Think of it like food calories. So if you eat too much food in a day, well, those calories get stuck in the body. So if we get too big of emotion or too many emotions in a day, they can easily get stuck, and they act like magnets, and they can get stuck in certain parts of the body, and it creates like a dammed area that the natural flow doesn't get to, and it can then create a physical weakness in those spots. So doing the T touches really help, because that can help break up those trapped emotions, that blocked energy for yourself that you can do regularly. But as they get a little older, or if you start seeing a physical problem, that's quite often associated to trapped emotions, because this trapped junk has got there, and it's created a weakness in their area. So we need to get rid of those trapped emotions. In other words, especially as they start getting a little older, and that can really help get their energy flowing. If they start getting arthritis or any kind of issue like that, we can get rid of some of the trapped emotion, and they just kind of feel brighter and feel better, and their body feels better. And it can help reduce the discomfort level. Um, so I didn't really feel a whole lot with her yet, thank goodness, because she's young still. She's pretty young, but there was some trapped energy, and in those areas, especially since she gets peeves, you want to watch the kidneys. So do the T touches in that back area where the kidneys are. Break that up, because she gets a little irritated with sister once in a while, and that's where those trapped emotions are landing. So just be aware of that, because that can build up and create a problem if we don't get rid of them, or get rid of them regularly.
it's funny you say that because whenever I'm sitting down, she actually comes over to me and then backs up into me.
Don't.
Sorry, they're actually
I'm
having
just
a
fighting with
they're
her.
having a resource guarding moment right
You
now.
don't. It's fine.
Which is weird because it doesn't happen that often, but right after we talked about it, now there they go.
Mhm.
She's fine now, she's over here. But she backs up into me and wants me to, like, basically I love to scratch her like this, like just give her a nice like massage. She usually gives me her back end, like the hips, and on either side of the hips, and I do like a deep kind of a thing, and she loves that. She'll even like back up further, so I go a little further up, and Sorry, I have 4 dogs. And everyone's decided to be really crazy at the moment.
That's not abnormal. We created a lot of energy in the house. So yeah. So
But-
and we shifted the energy. We shifted the energy by doing the releases in her. So they all pick that up, and sometimes they all want to turn. So so do keep doing that, but you can alternate and add in the T-touch, which is a different, the deep stuff that you're doing works more the tissues, which is valuable and good for them. But the T-touch works at the cellular level, and that actually helps move the energy itself, the cells. So alternate. I like to do both.
Okay.
So again, just YouTube T-touch for dogs, and they'll show you how to do it. It's a very light touch, and they also like it, and it's very quieting. And what that does too is a good one to do with your dog that does the resource guarding, is it gets the calming chemicals into them. And we need that because again, we don't want to turn off the fight or flight response system, which the resource guarding is the reactionary system. So do the T-touches on all of them. They like it. I do it on my alpacas, and they even like it, and they don't like to get touched generally. So I have a number of them, especially if the vet is out and needing to do vet care. I do T-touches, and they usually stand pretty still while I'm doing that because that feels so good. So it's a really nice modality that I like giving you guys something you can do and then save me when you really need me for helping your pets.
Mm-hmm.
Any
Yeah,
other questions?
no, I don't think so. That was, I'll Google that, like you said.
Yeah. Beautiful dogs. Yeah, thank you for sharing, Grace, with us.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks.
Anybody else have anything they'd like to share, ask?
I have a question.
Uh-huh.
Cindy, on your young dog Spud, where she had an unusual, past at such a young age, I wondered how she acts when she's in the home. Like, is she gravitating towards one dog more than the other to look for that guidance and someone to imitate?
Yeah, Bailey.
Okay.
Well, so partly because I think that was just before I even got Spud, when I was thinking of getting another dog, it was more for Bailey because he was really missing Tesla, who passed away a couple months
yeah.
ago, and having a playmate. So my mindset in what I was trying to manifest for us was a dog that would be a good playmate for him. And then Yogi spends, a lot of the time out with the alpacas. So she just didn't spend as much time with him. And he didn't seem to be as connected with her. He accepted her and he was like, oh, okay, she's just part of the, crew here. But it wasn't, he's gotten past that point where he likes to play a lot. He's kind of not that puppyish anymore. So he likes to run in the field, but a little bit, but otherwise he just kind of, okay, kid, whatever. So he didn't have that same energy with her, but Bailey was like, oh boy, I have a playmate right away.
Excited.
And so she really latched onto him and follows him. Whatever Bailey does, she wants to do pretty much. Although in the beginning, she was not comfortable in that in exploring the whole yard. So if they took off and wanted to bark at the neighbors or check things out in an area that she hadn't been yet, she'd run to me.
Okay.
So she either went with Bailey or she went with me.
So if she was looking to learn about alpacas, would she be learning from Bailey, mimicking her confidence, his confidence and so forth? Or
Well, he pretty much ignores them because I trained him to ignore them.
okay.
And so I was trying to get her to do that. I think she might have some livestock guardian in her. I did get a DNA test on her. I don't have the results back, so I'm not going to be shocked if there is. I would be shocked if there isn't some livestock guardian in her. I think she has a little of that instinct in her because she kind of just ignores them. She has she'll go right up. She might look to sniff at them if they come down to her level. Like when I'm handing out apples, she's not afraid of them at all. And she keeps sneaking into my barn area. This is something new. So they've come over. She gets a little nervous because they're so big compared to her. So she just backs off a little bit. But she's not super afraid of them either. So she's being respectful of them, which is great. She's not being reactive to them. She's not barking at them. She's not trying to bite at them or anything like that. She's just kind of like, okay, whatever. So it's that kind of livestock guardian stuff, but they only care about the livestock as far as making sure they're safe, not to be friends with them.
Yeah, she's picking up that good energy.
So
and-
she might be learning that a
Yeah.
little bit from watching Yogi, but she's not really out with them.
Okay.
Although I'm taking her back out of the barn area just because I can't monitor her. I'm trying to get my stuff done. But I'm not also making it a big deal. Like, no, you don't. So I let her sniff a little bit and then I go, okay, on the other side, and escort her back to the yard. But I'm slowly letting her have a little bit more time. Not a lot, but just giving her a little more and more time because I think she does have that instinct. So if she's fine out there with them, okay, whatever, I don't care.
Yeah, interesting.
So she'll have a little different, whereas Bailey is an Australian Shepherd and he wants to herd. Although he doesn't have a really strong herding instinct, he mostly wants to eat their poop, but which I don't want him to do. But his energy is very different around them. So I don't want him out in the field with them.
Okay.
So, but she really does, I would say, rely on Bailey, and I rely on Bailey too to babysit her. It would be very different. I don't know if I could handle a puppy if I didn't have him as her babysitter for a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And she's really an easy puppy, I have to say. She's really good for the
Mm.
most part. So she's already adjusted to the backyard. Other puppies I've had to have pens and much longer time. And she's fine out there. She's not getting into, I probably jinxing myself, but she doesn't get into very much mischief yet.
Mm-mm.
But then Bailey doesn't get into mischief out there, so she's just following whatever he does out there. But a lot of times just laying down, his feet are crossed, her feet are crossed. And they do like to cuddle together when they're napping. Sometimes you can see them spooning each other side by side. So they have a very close bond with each other.
Awesome. Thank you.
It really does help I think for some animals that are fear state, if they have another animal to follow, because they don't have the confidence for themselves. So then they get more reactionary because they don't know what to do. But if they have a confident animal to follow, then, oh, okay, that's what we're supposed to do. They'll follow them. That helps build their confidence because they have somebody, the pack tells them what to do.
Good girl. So
Hi,
I
June. Yeah.
question or an issue. It's been about 11 months since I've had Roxy. She's a rescue. We don't know her age, 7 to 11 or 12 probably, but she's very mellow. So she seems a little older, but she's very spry, loves to run, and super happy dog. But if I go in the basement, she cries. She sits at the top of the stairs and cries like she's worried about me. And I think her former owner was a senior citizen, single woman, a widow, and I think she died in the basement. So I think she's worried I won't come, because when I come back up from the basement, then I get a greeting like I've been gone for a few hours. She's
Okay.
super
Even-
happy to see
okay.
me emerge from the basement. So if my arms are free, I take her down with me, but usually I'm carrying laundry up or down or whatever, and she can't do the stairs by herself. So I don't take her down every time. She's
Okay.
fine when she's down there, but
Well, let's talk to her and see if we can release some of the fear and anxiety about you going down. It kind of reminds me of another case that we had on a Zoom on one of these webinars some time ago. But let's talk. And her name again is Roxy.
Roxy,
Roxy.
and she's on the screen.
Okay. So I think she may have seen the person pass.
I have worked with another communicator and she described it that they carried her out like a board. So I think the ambulance came and she was stiff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So she didn't know what to do, and the person wasn't actually, waking up.
Right.
So, well, I don't know if she knows that her person passed and crossed over, so I'll let her know.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, so she said, oh, that's sad. Okay, and I'm gonna tell her when you go downstairs, it's a different situation, that you're safe. And I'm hearing helpless. She felt helpless.
Right.
Helpless. And I felt a nice shift off of that. And I'm reminding her that when you go downstairs, she comes back up, right?
Right.
So there's a difference between being afraid when you go downstairs and then she's licking her lips right now. That's something we like to see. And a yawn, that's a sign that she's accepted the energy and she's releasing stuff. So that's exactly what we want to see. So there's a difference between her panic and I'm not going to release panic. Her fear of you going downstairs. That's different than I miss you. So I'm going to tell her it's okay for her to miss you when you have to go downstairs because that isn't fear necessarily. It's just I just my mom. So she can miss you a little bit, but she doesn't have to be in a panic and be fearful. So I'm going to release the panic and release the fear. There we go. And that you always come back up to her. And that you miss her too, but sometimes your hands are just too full to take her. And I'm telling her it's just something that we two-leggers have to do sometimes are these things. She doesn't quite understand why you have to go down. And you're her forever person now?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll let her know that too. I think I've told her that before, but we'll remind her that you're. She really likes being with you. And in this home, so she feels the love. There's another nice shift. And you can kind of see her eyes look a little softer right now. It's a lot of kisses for you, but I think she's a kissy dog anyway. But right now she's just relaxing.
Okay.
So let's see how that does. I'll be interested in seeing if she's a little less anxious because it felt like more of a panic feeling when you go downstairs versus I miss you. So I told her, I communicated to her, we rather see her being more miss you versus, oh my God, this is it. I'm never going to see you again.
Right.
So
Thank you.
let's see if that doesn't sink
Okay.
in and help her. I'll be real interested to see about that. And I mentioned that it reminded me of a previous case in which it was a little different, but this person had two dogs. I think they were siblings, and every morning, right before while she was getting dressed to take them out for their morning walk, these dogs would just have a fit. They would be in a panic. They'd be crying and barking and just really extremely agitated every single morning. Different in the afternoon when she'd take them out for a walk, they were fine, no agitation, no nothing. When she was getting ready to take them out for an afternoon walk, but the morning, and I was like, well, that's weird, that's very unusual. And then we unraveled it a little bit because it was this always like this? And then she said, no, it started some years ago, but it's been going on for several years. And I said, well, what happened several years ago? Well, in the morning, she got up one day, tripped on her way to getting ready, getting dressed to take them for their morning walk, and severely broke her leg. In which then she was in rehab and the hospital and the whole bit. And these two dogs had to get moved to a sister or somebody in the family for almost a year while she got recuperated and got stronger. And when they came home every morning at the time that they would have gone for a walk, they had a panic attack because they thought, oh no, this is it. Something's gonna happen to mom, and we're gonna get moved for another year. So by releasing that and saying, no, that happened one time, your mom's fine, it's not gonna happen again, that calmed the situation down. So I'm hoping that's kind of the situation where something bad happened when her first mom went downstairs. And so now every time you go downstairs, she goes into that panic attack. So by hopefully releasing that, communicating to her, no, that's a one-time thing. It was a bad thing, but it doesn't mean it's going to happen again. So it's okay. So let's just see if that doesn't help by communicating that to her, that relieves her fear that something bad's this is it. Something bad's not going to happen to you. So that's the PTSD, that stuff that animals can also experience. It triggers her. It was triggering her PTSD every time you go downstairs without her. So hopefully that fixed it.
I mean, it was scary in the moment when her lady died, and then she got bounced around the foster care system after that. So,
Right. The results of it was something really dramatic. Not only is the person gone now, but
her
all
whole
this
life,
other whole world just went kerflooey. And
right?
so she associated that with something going downstairs. That
Thank
was
you.
the trigger.
I'll
So
send you a
if you
note
go
of that.
downstairs, that would now it might take more than one release. So that's where we want to see. Does it improve a little bit? Do we still need to release some more? Because it could be a bigger set of emotions that still just need to get cleared out. But
I am encouraged that even when she cries for a little bit, then I talk to her, and a lot of times she'll go and lay down. She'll calm down and wait. She doesn't stand at the stairs the whole time I'm pre-spotting my laundry, She although sometimes she'll look down there and cry, where are you? So I talk to her and tell her it's okay. And
okay, I'm coming back. Yeah, you could. Yeah, just talk to her like you do. You could try mind to mind. Instead of outside voice, try your inside voice and see if she doesn't hear that better,
right,
and let her know what you're doing. I find that if I tell animals in my mind what's about to happen, they hear it better.
right.
Now, when they're in their fear state, they don't hear things as well, especially intuitiveness. So just like us, we don't hear it very well if we're stressed out. But if we can get them before we're stressed or they're stressed, they might hear it better. But do both inside and outside voice.
Okay.
See if that doesn't help. But I hope because I saw some nice signs. That was nice that you had her on camera so that we could all see the indications of the licking of the lips, the yawn, the eyes softening, that the energy work was definitely kicking in with her and she was absorbing it. So
Good.
thank you. Alrighty, anything else, folks? Any other questions? All right, well, let's get on to the healing circle. So I'm going to stop the recording.